Hello, and welcome to your weekly podcast here on Four Lads Had a Dream. My name's Andrew. I'm joined tonight by two of my very favourite podders, Kenny and Davey. Obviously, the post-game, let's say, of the 2-0 draw to Aberdeen has been covered in much more detail by the lovely Kenneth and Stephen on both the vlog as well as a post-match live show as well. But screw it. It's Monday. It's our time to shine. It's when the flagship comes on. So because we've heard plenty out of you already, Kenny, Davey, obviously never going to be happy with a draw, but fun to get it in those circumstances.
Well, I don't know. We spent weeks saying we didn't care about that game, didn't we? In fact, before the game, we were all saying, I hope the young boys play. I hope the reserves play. I hope he doesn't play anybody that's going to play in Bilbao. The manager listened to what we wanted, and then we immediately complained as soon as we saw how they were playing and how bad they were. The first half was a shambles. I don't know what other way to put it. I'm not quite sure what the system was. I'm not quite sure what the midfield was meant to be. I felt heart sorry for the two young guys as wing backs, who are as much wing backs as I am, against two wingers. McCausland didn't help himself, obviously, by getting sent off for utter stupidity. But it had to change at half time. No surprise Danilo came off. He was absolutely dreadful. No surprise Cortez came off. He looked about as slow and as interested as I would be if I was out there. But second half, we played a system that worked. We put round pegs and round holes again. We played players where they're meant to be, and you could see the difference. And it was great hearing Ian Crocker talk for 10 minutes about how Celtic were about to have a party and then shut him up with the very last kick of the game.
Disappointing, got a feel for them. Very, very sad, obviously. So, yeah, I mean, like you said, Davey, I think the podcast that we did previewing this game, everyone, apart from me, said that they would play a weakened team. I maintained it would have been good to have some of our stronger players in there, but I absolutely get the counter argument, which is you don't want to pick up any injuries. Knowing our luck, obviously, we definitely don't want to do that. Kenny, just to touch on it, because as Davey says, that first half was pretty appalling. It's a largely changed team. I think Proper and Kelly are the only two who keep their place from the Thursday game, and certainly in that first half, I think it's fair to say that no one particularly staked a claim for inclusion for this Thursday's game.
Yeah, if we wanted to see why we're sitting 15 points behind, there's your reason. The squad is nowhere near strong enough, nowhere near gifted enough. And to be frank about it, if you sit there and analyse that first half in particular, there's nobody there that can complain that they're not anywhere near this first team. I mean, the manager said that he had players knocking on his door, asking them why they weren't playing. Well, there's your reason. They were 2-0 down at half time, down to 10 men, and frankly, if Aberdeen had anything about them, really, they'd have been 3 or 4 or 5 up, because they missed a couple of sitters as well, and that's a sad indictment of the capabilities of our squad players. And I kind of agree with Davey when he says about the likes of Cortez and Danilo when they come off at half time. They had to come off. They were very, very poor, put it that way. But they weren't the only ones. There was a few in that first half just didn't let them settle down big time. I thought Robin Proper yet again was just all at sea. He's just not the centre half that Rangers require. So, and as I said to Stevie yesterday, mate, when you look at that, and if you're going to be analytical about it over the next few weeks, which we're going to have to be, there's a lot of decisions to be made on a huge amount of our players for yet another close season. That's 3, 4, 5. How many times are we going to do this? But it's the way just the way it is, Andrew. Where that squad is seriously lacking.
Yeah, look forward to the traditional summer rebuild as ever, because it's just an annual treat now. I just want to pull up a couple of comments first, because we're live, and that's part of the fun of this. First of all, props to Paul. We can't see the emoji here, but he is flaunting the fact that he's a member, which we already encourage, because you get to display your little stickers in the chat, and we've made some additions to that now as well. So if the little thumb there next to Kenny isn't to your taste, and it's to mine, but I can understand why it's not for everyone. You can also throw in a bit of Cheryl having a little wine while she's going, or a bit of Kenny while he's having a drink as well. And there's many more options in the chat there as well. But we just like to ensure we're being fair. And Stevie wouldn't stop complaining and moaning and crying that we would only pick on him for the emojis. So we've given some more options out there now instead.
He's in the chat complaining about your spelling mistake, buddy.
Yeah, I know. I was going to maybe just not dignify that with a response. If Stevie wants the title to be correct, he could bother and show up for the podcast. But no, instead he's just in the chat complaining. So I'm not going to entertain it. I'm not. Happy thoughts, and we're going to move on. McCausland gets sent off, and I think that's from a disappointing performance that he was having already, Davey, to see that. It's a stupid couple of fouls that he commits. It's 2 yellow cards. I don't really have a lot of complaints about it. I think it's a fair decision. It's just silliness from the boy.
Yeah, I think as I said earlier, I felt a bit sorry for him at the outset. The role he was given in the team. The boy's a winger. He's an attacking player, and to have him playing as a wing back against this speed merchant winger that Aberdeen had on that side, it was always going to be a difficult day for him. But as you say, once he was on a yellow card, I think the manager said afterwards he was actually chastising himself for not substituting him when he was thinking about it. But the second foul was just brainless. It was. There's absolutely no defence for something like that. And if that young guy wants to make it at Rangers, then he's kind of running out of road a little bit in terms of the number of chances he's going to get. We all wish that we could bring through these young players, Rangers daft, up through the ranks, guys like that, build a team round, but they need to be good enough. And at the moment, there's nothing really that says that he's going to be one of those players that we can rely on in future. When the new manager comes in, he's going to have a lot of decisions to make, and McCausland's future is going to be one of them.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. I think the only other notable bits from the first half, Rafael Fernandez, who we saw for 20 minutes, goes off injured, and Tav, who probably wasn't looking to play that day, has to come on. It puts an end to Connor Barron being the captain, which I thought was a nice touch. It's a good reward for the boy, and I don't think there were any other reasons for doing it. It's just a nice reward for a player who's worked hard, and I think that was fair. I think that was right to do. He's a kid. His first season at Rangers. It's he's moved on from a smaller club, and now he gets to represent a bigger club and captain them as well. I think that's just very nice to see. Half time, then we're 2 goals down, and to be honest, I think Davey, I'd made the point to you in the group chat. Then, if this all pays off on Thursday, no one's going to care about this, because I think despite whatever Barry might say, it was quite clear that that's what we were working towards,
Oh, the team selection at the beginning told you where our priorities lay, didn't they? But I think, as I mentioned earlier, one thing Ferguson does is he makes decisions, and he acts far more quickly than the last manager did. The shape that he decided on in the second half, it's yet another example, by the way, of abandoning a back three, which we seem to be doing on a regular basis in domestic games. But once he went to the 4 at the back, with 2 actual fullbacks playing fullback, with 2 central midfield players playing in central midfield, with a centre forward who could hold the ball up, playing centre forward, 2 wide men playing wide. Believe it or not, with players in the right place, all of a sudden we were competing again. And I don't think there's any doubt we scored at exactly the right time. I mean, that was 2 minutes or something into the second half. Terrific goal. With all due respect to the way Danilo was playing, he couldn't even have dreamed of scoring a goal like that, the way he was playing yesterday. That completely changed things. We rode our luck after it, but we were back in the game. And at half time, I honestly couldn't see that happening.
Yeah, it's a really good goal. I think it's what we would like to see more of from Igaman. I think it will happen more if he's actually played through the middle as a striker, as opposed to being stuck out in the wing. It almost reminded me of Morelos in terms of the way he just bullied his way past the defence. He was just very insistent that he was going towards the goal, and two defenders around him couldn't really stop that from happening. And that's a decent finish as well, one that's probably bettered by another goal later on, but we'll come to that. Kenny, I think that first half, obviously, Aberdeen, as you say, could have been 3 or 4 up. The fact that they offered very little in that second half and almost seemed to shrink away, and then when we get that goal, that they just seem to shut down. I think they only have themselves to blame for failing to win that game, and they absolutely should have had it won in the first half. But come 10 seconds left to go, Cyril Dessers has a strike at goal. It does, unfortunately, what we expect it to happen when Cyril Dessers is through on goal and contrives to miss it. I don't think it's a particularly bad strike. I just think it's unlucky. Comes out, and Yefti, who I think had a decent game defensively as well, which we may need given we're not sure on Ridvan's status. He manages to get that through to Hadji, and Hadji hits it first time, and it's that's a goal the second it leaves his boot. Goes straight in, and it's a fantastic strike. And we salvage a point from a game that really none of us were that concerned about, but it was quite hilarious to see how deeply upset it made a lot of other people.
Yeah, their reaction made it all the sweeter, didn't it? It was fantastic. Look, it's a cracking goal, and the Dessers strike. He's really unlucky. He's hit it really well. It's hit the inside of the post and can fly out, and he's leathered that. It's some strike, but yeah, nothing but praise for Yanis Hadji's strike. It's such a difficult skill to get your body right over the top of that and get the power and the bend and everything else from that angle. And he's quite a distance out, as you know. But yeah, the best thing about it for me personally is that you've spoiled their party a little bit. You've actually kind of rained right over their parade, because they're about to go tonto. They're about to really mix it, because they're one of those football clubs that apparently there's a big rivalry, they tell us, but we don't really care that much, and we don't. And it's a kind of strange one, that they spend 90 plus minutes sitting singing about us, and do they not have any other songs? I don't know. I've no idea. I don't care about them. But at the same time, it was quite unusual to sit there and watch a game that we don't care about, really, and for them to spout their bile for 90 minutes about us and boo Conor Barron every single touch. And it's just, listen, and let them go on with it. But as I say, nice to turn around and take 2 points off them anyway. And yeah, look, they did have a couple of chances. What I would say is that their manager made a couple of really strange substitutions. Where I can't remember the boy. I don't know if he's Finnish or something like that. But they had a player playing out wide that was really decent on the day, and it was causing us a lot of bother. And they took him off with about 25 minutes to go or something like that, and they kind of stopped them from being a proper threat. And that, listen, Andrew, all I can say is we've got it out the way. We've come back from the dead there, enjoyed it, but it's all about Thursday, and that's what yesterday even was all about. You can see it from the manager's selection, that get it out the way and get back down the road. So yeah.
I'm going to do the joke quickly because I want to do it before anyone else can. I don't think he's finished, Kenny, because he's not even 30 yet. Anyway, I had to do that for my own sake. I'm sorry, everyone. I want to highlight a couple of comments from the chat. From Scott Hammond there, what was Shinny shouting at everyone at the end for? That's a great question. I don't know. I think it may just be bitterness at the fact that he, again, failed to beat us. Just funny, Davey, more than anything else. The fact that John Suter was the one who was trying to calm things down when he's the most relaxed guy in the world as well.
Shinny at full time reminded this old guy of Pillow Di Canio, actually. I don't know if anybody else old enough to remember Pillow Di Canio, a game at Parkhead when he squared up to Ian Ferguson and then realised what he had done, and the invisible man started pulling him away because there was nobody actually there, but he was pretending somebody was dragging him off. Shinnie's he's a nobody. To be honest, I can't get excited about him. He's at the right club because he's not very good and he doesn't like Rangers very much. So I suppose that he's probably where he wants to be, but he doesn't mean anything. And just like Aberdeen really don't mean anything either.
I wanted to highlight this as well, just because it made me laugh. Not because it's a great point, obviously. It's a one-sided rivalry because they're closest rival is Cove Rangers. And I completely agree with that, Steve G. I think that's very pertinent and funny. Kenny, we've now reached the split. We're going to come to the split fixtures in a second because the supercomputer's throwing up something interesting again for some reason. But we're here at the split now. What are your thoughts first on Barry Ferguson, the job he's done so far? Obviously, bearing in mind the season isn't over yet, but league-wise, it's pretty much done.
What are my thoughts on Barry? It's very difficult to criticise him too much, but if I'm going to be hypercritical, I'll turn around and say that he's chopping and changing a little bit too much for me now. The formations are changing from half to half a lot of the time. But the simple fact is that if you really want to be blunt about it, the results haven't been great. He's got a very decent result against Fenerbahce. He's went away, Celtic won. But we're 2-0 down, and is it 6 of the last 8 games under Barry? And that kind of concerns you in the sense that was already happening under Philip Clement. Don't get me wrong, this has been going on for a while, but he's not been able to rectify or address that, or him and his team haven't been able to do that. I've been on record as saying I just don't think he'll get the job. I think when the new owners come in, I think they'll be looking to go down their own kind of avenue and have their own ideas, and that's kind of what new owners tend to do, mate. But I'm not going to criticise Barry, but as I say, I do feel that if he's chopping and changing too much, there might be a reason for it. He's just trying to find a blend at times, and yesterday I'll give him a kind of almost like a free pass because it was literally throw a second string out and see if you can get a result. But in general, the Motherwell defeat at home was a poor one. Yesterday wasn't a great performance. If you're being honest, we've not been brilliant under Barry at all. Probably Celtic Park and Fenerbahce away accepted, where they've been, anomalies more than anything else. These kind of performances, but they're anomalies in terms of all season, not just Barry, because over the piece, we don't know what we're going to get from one game to the next with this squad of players. So we shouldn't really expect any manager to. Andrew, that would be my take on it. That he's dealing with a limited bunch of players.
Yeah, no, I'm inclined to agree with that, mate. I think getting anything out of the squad, and we've seen past seasons that this squad can turn up for some games and fail to turn up for others. So the fact that they're doing exactly the same with this manager, I think you know where the blame is more likely to lie. But Davey, it's a tricky one because almost with any manager, you want to say we'll judge them when they've got their own squad, but we've tried to do that for about 5 years now, and it's getting to the point where we can't really keep doing that. It's an interesting one for me because the season's not over yet, in no small part down to some of his work. But equally, the fact that we still haven't picked up a win at home yet, and we're defensively extremely ropey, means there's inevitably going to be some question marks over him.
Oh, without doubt. I think if you look at results and performances, then the thing that's different from under Clement, well, there's two things. One is tactically he will change things, whereas Clement tended to just want to plan A, then plan B is plan A faster or slower or whatever it was. And he's carried himself really well. He's carried himself very well in the job, I think. I mean, I had to laugh yesterday. And you know me, I don't listen to Chris Sutton pre-match, I always turn the sound down, and I just put the sound on for the game. But I made the mistake of leaving it on after at half time and full time. And Sutton described Ferguson as a chest-beating manager, which I think must mean that he plays to the gallery type thing. So I'd done a little bit of research on Chris Sutton, because I remember he was a manager once at the mighty Lincoln City. And he played 51 games and he won 14 of them, and he left them 20th in Division 2. So I think I'd rather have a chest-beating manager than I would have somebody like him. Ferguson won't get the job. He won't get the job. But I do think that he's added a bit of character. He's added a bit of fight into the team that wasn't there. He's in a losing battle with that squad of players. That squad of players will never win anything. Don't, because you don't know what you're going to get from 1 week to the next. Winning teams don't lose at home to St Mirren, Motherwell, Queen's Park, etc. So there's a complete and I suppose the question you would need to ask if you were taking over Rangers and spending millions of quid on it, is Barry Ferguson a manager you'd want to be at the start of a complete rebuild? I think he's the type of man to come in, to inject some life into the place, to get people going, to kick a few butts, to improve them short term. But I don't see him as a builder of an empire. And I think what we need is an empire builder.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question because we know that there should be a sporting director coming in as well, above Coppen. And there are questions about him and his, record. That probably are best left to another pod to discuss a bit further in more detail. But it's a tricky one because you can say he's galvanised the squad. I think some of the results we've got in Europe, certainly away, as well in the league to the other side of the city. I don't think those are won under the previous manager, but equally, how much of this is sustainable, and how much of it down to the squad choosing when and where to play as well. So it's a tricky one, and I think it's going to be clearer. I think if things go well in Europe, then it's going to make that cry, I think, stronger to make him the manager. If he wins the Europa League, then I'm pretty sure he's getting the statue outside of Ibrox. So, never mind being the manager. If it was me, that's the perfect time to retire at that point, because you've done the best thing you could probably do. But it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. Going forward, certainly, this Thursday's game is going to be critical, I think, to how that conversation is shaped. Before we get to that, though, I want to talk about the post-split fixtures, which were announced today. Again, random computer manages to stick us away to St Mirren before a potential semi-final leg. Then we've got an Old Firm game in between a prospective semi-final tie as well. Wild coincidence. Home to Aberdeen, home to Dundee United, and then away to Hibs to close out the season. So it's almost like they're writing off our chances of winning the league, which I feel is very unfair because it's not won yet. But Kenny, I think we joked about that potentially being what we'd get in terms of the Old Firm fixture falling at a less inconvenient time for us. Shockingly, the random supercomputers decided that is going to be the case.
Yeah, colour me surprised. What are they like? Honestly, barely a week ago or so, they're given conveniently teams that get into a playoff the weekend off as of next season, which hasn't happened before, and we all know why that is. And here we are sitting there 90 minutes away from a European semi-final, and do they take that into consideration? I'd like to say no, but they clearly have taken it into consideration, and they've thought, we'll just make that as difficult as possible for you. And listen, people might not like what I'm saying, but it's just so blatant. It's just ridiculous. Why would you? They've won the league already, right? There'd need to be a swing of 6 goals in the next 5 games, every single game. It's not going to happen. So why are they not?
Wait. So you're telling me there's a chance?
It's very slight, mate. But the point I'm trying to make here is just they're at it, and why would they want to put that particular fixture? Why would they not look at that and say, do you know what? Why don't you give one of our nation's representatives the best opportunity to do something in Europe? Because it's us, and they don't want to do that. And whether people like that or not, I couldn't give two hoots, mate. It's a fact. It's just the way it is. They don't like us. It's clear as day. They make everything as difficult as hell for us. And I'm just kind of, nothing surprises me with them. It's just so obvious and so blatant and so, I would say biased, but I maybe get myself into bother, but I'll kind of hint at bias, put it that way. There's just a blatant need to pick away at us, and I don't know why it is, but hey, who cares? Just go on with it. If I was Barry Ferguson and we happened to get through on Thursday, see that fixture, I would literally play 11 security guard. Honestly, who cares who we play? Honestly, could let them turn up and do what they like, because we've got bigger fish to fry if we happen to get through on Thursday.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm glad you didn't say that you were going to be biased there, Kenny. You know, you really covered yourself on that one. So
not being biased, mate. Just
of course not. No.
Infinite bias here, you know.
Can I just mention one little thing here? I don't know why they didn't just wait till after Thursday, because the games aren't till the following weekend. They're not this weekend coming, and then this whole thing about would you be in the semi-final or not would be out the way. You wouldn't know. You're right. I mean, you would know. So. But the fact that they've arranged these fixtures when there's a possibility, I'm not saying we're going to get there, but there's the possibility of in the semi-finals, utterly ridiculous. But me being the history man, do you know who we played between my last two European semi-finals? Fiorentina 2008, between the home game and the away game, we went to Parkhead. Leipzig, between the away game and the home game, we went to Parkhead. That's no coincidence. They're absolutely at it.
Of course it's not. That's my point.
It's just really lucky, guys. It's just a coincidence,
Yeah.
obviously. Before we move on, because I do want to talk about the next game we've got up, I just want to highlight Bluebells are Blue from the chat. Ludicrously, generously, chucked a tenner in to the tip jar when Kenny and Stevie were live after the Aberdeen game. Very generous, and we're very grateful and thankful for you, mate. So I appreciate that. You did say it was for pints, and I think Kenny's going to fritter it away on other kinds of nonsense. 10,000 pot noodles or something like that. But yeah,
Andrew, I'll be buying my pints up here, not down where you are. I'll get about a pint and a half down at your gaff, but I'll get a couple of pints up here. So Bluebells are Blue, thank you very much, mate. Very much appreciated. Didn't get the chance to thank you last night. Because we were literally coming off here when it happened. So honestly, very much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Yeah, echo that 100%. Let's look ahead to the Thursday game then. Obviously, we know it's going to be a tough away tie. I think we know what we have to do. We have got no excuses in terms of being able to rest pretty much the full squad in advance of this one. I don't know if any of you guys think someone's earned a place off the back of the performance this past weekend. But I'll come to you first, Davey, and ask how do we go there, get a positive result, and does anyone come in from the team this past weekend?
No. I think the injury to Sterling and the suspension of Proper kind of forces you down the road of going back to a back four, unless you want to trust NCL in a game like this. Because I'm struggling to think of three centre halves and a right back, especially if Yilmaz is injured, which I don't actually know if he's available or not. I know there was a bit of doubt about him, but for me, it looks to be the players available that we've got. That we need to be solid. We need to be difficult to break down because they're going to dominate possession. That's pretty obvious. So I think it looks like it's set for a 4-5-1 this time. Balogun and Suter pick themselves in the centre of the defence. Tavernier picks himself at right back. So I think the only question is who you're going to play at left back in that four. Yilmaz or Jeffrey. You could
And
argue
Davey,
either.
as you say, that might be enforced, given that we don't know if Rickman's going to make it as well. So.
Yeah. So I think that kind of picks itself. I think the centre of midfield's obviously going to have Raskin and Diamandi plus one other. That one other will probably be either Young Rice if he's fit, because I thought he did okay last Thursday, or Barron. Then you're talking Cherny on one side, maybe Haji on the other side, maybe Yilmaz on the other side if they're doubling the fullbacks up, I don't know. And then the big question is who's up front. I think going by Barry's selection history, it looks as if it's going to be Dessers because he would have played at Pittodrie. You would have thought. Personally, I think 4-5-1 cries out for somebody that can hold the ball up better than him, and I think Iggerman's by far the man best suited to it. And I'll be slightly disappointed if he doesn't play, and because I think he's got a wee bit more about him if he hardly sees anything of the ball, and I think he'll hold the ball up better. So I suppose I'd play a team something like that. Fight for every ball, give them as little space as I possibly can, and then rely on us being clinical in the break, and then see where it takes us.
Yeah, I totally agree about Hamza being the guy up front, because we even saw it in the Aberdeen game. Dessers is very erratic, if I want to be generous, about being able to hold up the ball up top. At the very least, Iggerman can hold stuff up and bring other players into it, which is what we need, especially in that first leg where we didn't have an outball. I concede that it's much more difficult when you're down to 10 men. We practiced for that again this past weekend, but you need someone who can help bring other players in and help give the defence a break as well. As fun as it is, trying to see how far we can stretch Leon Balogun, I'd much rather not force him to play 120 minutes potentially against a Spanish team who are going to dominate possession. So giving them a relief, Kenny, would be my priority. And for that, I think you need more of an outball.
Yeah, but I'm not sure Barry will do that. I tend to agree with David. Just going by the team selection yesterday, it looks as if Dessers will start up front. I also happen to agree with the only way you could turn around and play with five at the back here is if Yefty and Yilmaz are both fit to play. But I don't want Yilmaz on the right back on that boy Williams at all. Absolutely not. He will get terrorised. So that kind of kills the idea of playing with three centre halves for me. The only thing I would say, if you're Davey will remember this as well, when Dick Advocat used to play some really strange formations. Sometimes he'd stick two guy in as a sweeper behind the centre halves and stuff like that, crazy stuff. And I'm not saying Barry's going to do that, but excuse me, but don't be surprised if it's very defensive in the middle of the, in the centre midfield even, because I do feel that we're going to have midfielders that will push to the left and push to the right to help the fullbacks, whoever they're going to be, particularly if we're playing with four at the back, because they two Williams brothers are good players. And I know there's a doubt on, I can't remember the one that played in the right hand side, his name escapes me, but I know there's a doubt about him. He pulled up with a hamstring injury over the weekend, and I hope he's out, put it that way, because he's a very good player. But they're both good players. They're a good side. I wasn't overly impressed with them. I thought they were a good side, a good technical side, Ibrox on Thursday. But I thought we dealt with them really quite well when we were down to 10 men. It became a slight game of defence via attack to a certain degree, but we did cope with it. And they kind of struggled. They had two or three decent chances, don't get me wrong, but in the main, I think that we'll go over there. I think the way we play European football, we're kind of tailor-made for going away from home and kind of sitting into a little bit and hitting them on a transition. On the players he's going to start with, I'm not Davey here. I actually think a lot of this picks itself. All you need to do is look at yesterday and say there's nobody that's capable of coming in. So, you know, the midfield, I think, will be the three. I think it'll be Barron, Raskin and Diamandi. I think the back four picks itself, with the difference being, do you pick Yilmaz or Yefti? That's just a preference. I know I'd prefer Yefti, but I can understand why others disagree. I'm not convinced with Liam Kelly. I thought he was at fault for the first goal yesterday. Genuinely thought he was. I think it's a poor mistake. I watched it back, and I think he's very flat-footed and he's slow to get across, and that kind of thing worries me because he is very capable as a second choice keeper. But over there, if we get put under siege, it's all right saying he's a good shot stopper, but when balls are getting thrown over at him, right at him, and stuff like that, we've seen him. I think it was away at Hibs, and he was flapping quite a bit, and I don't really want to see that. So he's got a choice to make with his keepers as well, I think, on Thursday. And I'll stick my colours to the mast. It's Igaman every time as a number 9 for me. Every single time. He's a better player, with all respect to Big Cyril. He's a better football player. He's got more about him. He's got much more physicality about him, and I think we'll need that. But truthfully, I think Barry will start Cyril Dessers on Thursday night.
Yeah, I think he likes him. And you can say tactically it might be the wrong choice. We aren't the Rangers manager. And football's about personalities as well. And sometimes you like a player and you'll have a soft spot for them and you'll pick them. But listen, as we've said, we still don't know who's actually going to be fit. We understand that there's going to be, scans, tests happening the next couple of days to see who can come back in. And Kenny, I believe you and Steve, you'll be live, or at least you'll be talking come Wednesday. So you should have more updates on who's actually going to be available for this game.
Yeah, timing's permitted. We'll go live. It depends. I'm out and about during the day, but if Steve is available when I'm available, we'll probably go live. If not, we'll pre-record, as you know. But listen, I'm quite excited about Thursday. I don't know about you guys, but I genuinely do feel we've got a chance of getting through this. Which, if you had said to me before last Thursday, if you'd said to me after 10 minutes, 12 minutes of the game on Thursday, and I said, you're kidding me on, it's not going to happen, because I genuinely expected us to, I wouldn't say buckle or welter in like that last Thursday, but the way we coped with them really, really surprised me. And I do believe that we will create chances over there. So I'm really excited about it. But yeah, we will have a wee kind of preview show on Wednesday, Andrew.
Lovely stuff. And listen, Davey, I'm going to come to you in a second. But first of all, I want to do some plugs. So I want to thank all of our lovely members. They are scrolling across the bottom of the screen right now. For as cheap as, I think, 99p, you can become a member of the channel. And that gets you all manner of privileges. You get a little Four Lads logo next to your name. You get highlighted in our chats. But the most important one, as I continuously stress, is the fact that you get to paste little pictures of Stevie's shiny head in the chat. And, it doesn't just stop there, folks. You can also get a little bit of Cheryl drinking as well, if you want. Or you can even get Kenny having a nice little drink there as well. So, there are other benefits to it. We've got some exclusive interviews with folks whose full interviews didn't make the cut for the Davy Cooper documentary. But really, the stickers are where it's at. That's what it's all about. So we thank all of our members who are subscribing for that. We do appreciate it immensely. Davey, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, mate, and I appreciate you coming on. But yeah, got to be excited about Rangers Thursdays, right?
Oh yeah, the battle fever's ramping up already, and it's still got a couple of nights to go. So I'm the same as Kenny. Although I find it hard to believe a team that has failed to win 13 league games this season is actually one game away from a European semi-final. But we are. We are. And I think the old expression is you've got to be in it to win it. And we're absolutely in this tie. We are right in it. In fact, I would go as far as to say that the first goal is going to be absolutely enormous on Thursday night. Because I think their stadium will be full, and it'll be full of Spanish fans expecting their team to go through. And you know what it's like at Ibrox when it's full and we're all just expecting a procession. If the other teams go first, it can become a bit uncomfortable. If we can do that, then all bets are off, seriously. Although I'm not so sure if you're doing a pod after the game on Thursday, because don't forget, if it goes to penalties, it'll last about 11 o'clock.
That might be a bit intense. If the result goes our way, Davey, I don't think anyone's going to have any difficulty staying up, So it'll be all good fun. Thank you again, my friend. I do appreciate you coming on and giving up your Monday. And to everyone in the audience who's enjoying the fact that we're doing live pods, we're going to try and do more of them as and when we can. Blue Bars of Blue in particular highlighted that it was good for him to see them. So you keep asking for them, we'll keep doing them, mate. So thanks again, Davey. Kenny, my friend, thank you as ever. Always appreciate you coming on. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Andrew. The wee emoji is it's one of those AI jobs. It's a cross between me and Phil Mitchell. I'm not that ugly, mate. I'm far better looking than that. It is, yeah. And where is yours? We've been told. Get them up, mate. You need to get a sticker up there. And Stevie is doing a vlog from the game on Thursday. He's going, and so there'll be no 11 o'clock pods for me, mate. I'm quite glad. I'll just sit with a couple of beers and watch a game and pray for a result. But thanks for having me on. Really enjoy that. Really enjoying the live shows, and thanks to everybody that's subbing and liking and becoming members. It's fantastic. We're loving it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely echo what Kenny said. You guys are helping the channel grow. There are 14,000 of you watching on a Monday evening. Honestly, have you guys got nothing better to do? I mean, we've got nothing better to do, but come on, what's going on, guys? But we appreciate you nonetheless. You might even be watching this on playback as well, so we appreciate it for that too. Guys, as ever, you as the fans, you're the ones who help this channel grow. You're why we're able to do stuff like this. We've got a Helicopter Sunday documentary coming along just as soon as I start doing some editing, as soon as Stevie and Davey go off and do some more filming as well. And yeah, it's all very exciting stuff. We are going to be with you for everything coming on the Rangers. As Kenny says, we're going to have some hopefully near as damn it live coverage from the game. So yeah, we are looking forward to the coming weeks. Can't thank everyone out there enough. I can't thank the guys enough as well for giving up their time. The team that we've got at Four Lads has been wonderful, and it's the strongest it's ever been. So I'm very grateful to them personally for that, because I apparently have the difficult job, including making stickers, because that's tough. But these guys make it much easier for me, because I just need to sit back and let them do all the work, which is great. So thanks again, folks, for tuning in. We appreciate you joining us. And yeah, until we talk to you again, bye for now.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.